think from our collective experience, it's to try and engage in things together as a group of people who don't necessarily know each other that well, but when we come together, that kind of becomes Urbania. And so everything in this room is a kind of a product of those decisions that we're making as a group, which have something to do with communal living. And ironically, the first manifestation of Urbania was in the countryside. So I think we had this kind of strange moment of being a bit stranded in the countryside, living without electricity or running water or any of those things. So it was like immediately a really rural existence. But then we were trying to tackle it in quite sophisticated ways. But yeah, there was something really nice about meeting people along the way, and then them being really kind of not patronising, but they were really kind of, they had a lot of goodwill towards Urbania, because it seemed to be like people coming from the city to live in the country and practice those sort of back to basics things. But I think that really so far it's been sort of responding to the context and then responding quite directly to our host environment. Why not? Again, like back to the country thing, it had this really immediate effect of binding us as a group, and it was really identifiable, even though I think we stood out quite a lot anyway in the town. But I think being a cohesive group was always quite high on the list, that we would sort of act as one organisation, and it was a really simple way of doing that. And I think beyond that, there's something inevitably political about the colour, in that it feels slightly left wing, and the things that we were doing had this kind of utopian aspect to them. So there's like an obvious connection there, but I think it's more like a straightforward, cohesive device, really. And it looks good against green in the countryside. That's a nice idea. And yeah, I think I'm not really sure. I think it's a really interesting concept, but it feels really outdated already, and it feels a bit like we're automatically branded a bit naive if we attempt to do anything. And I think I think it's a nice thing to try. I think we should try it. My interest from our discussions, I think our interests as a whole were to create this binding thing. So it's the colour and the uniforms, and I think living where we were, there was like the immediately apparent thing was that there was this really close relationship to the land and to the to the forest, and the very visible island in the lake. It was just this kind of goal, like it felt a bit like this group activity, bonding exercise, that we would build a raft and make it to the island as a sort of as a gesture, really, of our collective commitment and abilities to do something together as a group. So so that's the paddle over there, and it kind of, yeah, it was definitely a sketch. I think the raft was a sketch, and it needs to be improved upon. But I think as a metaphor for us doing things as a group, it's kind of appropriate, and the fact that it sank is maybe interesting as well.